Good morning. How is everyone? Fairy, I know you're driving, so you better not be chatting in chat. That's all you're allowed to say this morning, Miss Fairy. We want to keep you safe while you're driving. I hope you got the... Well, you better be pulled over, Miss Fairy. Oh, you're not driving yet. Okay. All right. Well, then there's an exception. So, how is everyone this morning? I thought we would talk about something that really doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in the government right now. Well, at least I thought when I opened that filing cabinet in my brain yesterday, because something that was mentioned, I don't remember if I mentioned it or if Beard mentioned it, but about building out of wood. And so as I was doing some more research into the knowledge that I already knew, it led me down a path. I went down a path, then down a rabbit hole. And it's funny how much the government funds things that we really don't know about. And the funding that is being cut off really hurts a lot of things that people don't know about. But we're not going to get into that portion of it today because that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But what we're going to talk about is buildings and the climate. And how buildings could help what's going on with the climate. So, did you know that buildings themselves account for 40% of the global CO2 emissions? And what if, instead of putting out all those CO2 emissions, they were able to store carbon instead? I mean, of course, they would still put out a little emissions, a little CO2, but it wouldn't be as grand as it is, and it would kind of offset itself, I think. So, how do buildings account for 40% of global emissions? Well, 28% of those emissions come from operating emissions. Whatever, however you say that word. It's early, I'm on my first cup of coffee, so don't judge how I talk, because we know that happens a lot on these streets. But I don't care. Talk about how I talk all you want to. It doesn't affect me at all. So, 28% of the CO2 emissions globally put out are from the operation emissions of these buildings. And that includes heating, cooling, lighting, water heating, appliances, and electronics. And then you have all the emissions that it takes to build these buildings, like the material production, the construction, the transportation, the demolition, and then the disposal of all that concrete and steel that is no longer being used and is just rubble sitting in a pile on a empty block of a building that just got torn down. What do they do with all that? We'll get into that another day too, because that's also very interesting. So, steel making, the production of steel making, is the industry emissions is 70 to 80%, and that all comes from a blast furnace to make this steel. Or no, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. 7 to 9% of steel production, all of it is 7 to 9% is the emissions. And out of that 7 to 9% is the 70 to 80% of the industry's emissions are all from a blast furnace. And concrete production makes up 8% of global CO2. So with every ton of steel produced, there is 2.5 tons of CO2 put into our atmosphere just to make steel, to use it. That's not even including all the emissions that takes to build the buildings and whatnot. So, now, if we were to build out of wood, and we can build out of wood, because there's been research and studies done at universities like the University of Washington and the Oregon State University and the University of Oregon and Michigan Tech, and those are the only 3 places in the U.S. that even study mass timber production. So, and you may say, well, building out of wood, mass timber, that's just gonna make it easier for shit to burn down. Well, no, because they've been doing research on mass timber to make sure that it's fire resistant. And engineered wood is stronger than steel, and it will last for centuries. And while it's lasting for centuries, it's also holding all that CO2 that it collected over its lifetime as a tree. And so, if we start using wood, we'll start being able to make our national forests and whatnot more sustainable, because we will be using the trees in the forests to make these buildings and whatnot, and we will be planting trees to replace that. And you need to do that in a forest. You need to keep the cycle going, the trees going. They can't just be there and grow forever. well, some of the trees got to stay in the forest because they're homes to animals and insects and whatnot. But we have researchers that are in the forest department that research all that and take care of all that and let the loggers know what trees they can cut and what trees they can't cut. See, if you live in a sustainable forest like I do, you can see how it helps the forest and doesn't hurt the forest. So, while I was talking about this, I wanted to have an example for you of a wood building. The tallest wood building. And, well, actually, it's a hybrid building. And a hybrid building means that it's built out of concrete, steel, and wood. But more of it is wood than it is concrete and steel. So, the Ascent building in Milwaukee is a sustainable landmark architecture. And it was recognized as the tallest building, or the tallest mass timber hybrid structure. In 2022 by the Council of Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat. Now you can look this building up. It's in Milwaukee, and I know some of you are in Milwaukee, so you can go find it and drive by it and see. This building is 284 feet, which is 86.6 meters. It has 25 stories, and 6 of those stories at the base of the building are concrete. Then 19 stories on top of the concrete that are mass timber. The building itself holds 259 luxury apartments with an elevated pool and operable window walls that you can move and open and close on a sky deck. They started building, and this is the other thing, I got to do a little more research into this, because I feel this building went up a lot faster than normal buildings do. I've seen skyscrapers in Chicago that have taken years. I mean, some of them are still being built from when I lived there. And that was 10 years ago. This building, they started it in August of 2020, and they ended it 2 years later in August of 2022. And it's funny because with wood structures, you can actually prefab some of the stuff that is, some of the walls and roof structure and whatnot. So it's already built, and what they're doing is they're transporting sections of these buildings. And wood is a lot, is not as heavy as steel or concrete. So it's a lot easier to haul places. I know probably not a lot of you have hauled things. Well, maybe some of you, because I know there's some truckers out there. But the lighter your load is, the easier it is to pull. The heavier your load is, the more strength you'll need out of your engine to pull whatever it's pulling. So, again, it is going to make emissions a lot lower So this is the this is the spot where we can go down this rabbit hole one day. So that building in 2019 received a grant from USDA, the Wood Invention Program. I don't know, I could have spelled that wrong. But anyways, actually no, the Wood Invention Grant, I think it's called. But what that did was it supported the engineering, the design, the fire testing. It ensured that the mass timber meets U.S. code and performs similar to steel and concrete. So now let's get into where research is being done for mass timber. We're just going to talk about the United States because that's where we all live. Well, I don't know about all of us. But if you live in a different country than the United States, because that's where I live, you might want to do some research because there are more countries that are doing research on mass timber than there are in the United States. So, the three places that do the research is the University of Washington, and they have two departments. The College of Build Environment, which is a research lab, and they research sustainable wood products, structure design, and fire safety. And then they have another department called the Green Building Research Lab, which explores the environmental and life cycle impacts. So, we wouldn't have all these numbers and statistics if there weren't research labs in universities with professors that have been studying this stuff their entire lives and know more about this stuff than any of us do, or the orange guy, or any of his little minions, or whatever you want to call them. These people, these professors, know a hell of a lot more than any of us. We need to start trusting them and not some orange guy using talking points from somebody else that wrote it for him. They aren't even his talking points or his thoughts. He's a pathetic old man. Anyway, so the second place is now these two, they help each other. The Oregon State University and the University of Oregon. They do high-rise mass timber research and structural research and structural and fire performance. And then, so the reason I even know about this mass timber stuff is because Michigan Tech does it. Michigan Tech has studies on mass timber and how it can help and what it can do. So that's just some of my thoughts on mass timber. And there's a lot of facts in there, and there's a lot of stuff that y'all can go research on your own. Hola, Martís. How are you? So, I really need to do more research. My research seems to only last about 20 minutes talking time. But good to know. I need to do more to make it last at least an hour or something. But, I was having these thoughts yesterday too. Back in the day, I don't know when we switched from wood to steel, but back in the day, I bet people, when we went from wood to steel, there was this whole big, oh my God, what are we doing? And oh my God, just like people are doing now, about how, oh my God, you're switching stuff and we can't switch things and you're changing our way of life and forcing us to do things that we don't want to do. It's funny how certain groups can force people to do things, but other groups can't force people to do things. Or no, I'm sorry. Can, and we just let it go. Like all these people being deported that aren't even in a gang, don't have anything to do with anything, and they're just erasing them. It's so fucked up. This country's so fucked. And our dollar is worth jack shit right now? And who did that? Who made our dollar worth jack shit? Wasn't the guy before, 'cause it was fine a couple days ago. Our economy was a hell of a lot better a couple days ago than it was, well, actually I should say a couple weeks ago, fuck. Because the economy markets started dropping as soon as he got in office, if you guys paid attention. Because companies didn't know what he was going to do about the tariffs and all that. You're stupid if you don't think you're going to be paying the cost of the tariffs. Because we pay that. We pay for all that. Hell, these billionaire companies that don't even want to pay their fair share in taxes, you really think they're going to consume all that extra stuff? No, they're going to pass it on to us. Maybe the general shits in his pants. It's just a mess. And none of it had to be done. What he did over the last couple days, none of that had to be done. But he somehow made you guys believe that it was something that had to be done in order to make it better. To change the world order, to change how consumers get goods. How is that good? Have a great day, Fairy. Drive safe. Alright, message me when you get to where you're going so I know you're okay. I'm sure the roads are good. It's not wintertime anymore. Well, I say that with snow on the ground. And where do we get our steel from to make these buildings? Doesn't some of it come from Canada? Russia? Aren't there tariffs on that now? How many steel plants do we have in this country? And do you know how long it takes to build a plant? It's not like it can just pop up overnight. It takes years to build plants. All kinds of plants, not just steel, but manufacturing plants, all this stuff, all these companies that he's saying is going to come back and build stuff here. Well, so they're going to come back. They're going to make build a plant here, let's say. But so then these people are going to have to pay extra money for the tariffs that are on steel and all these products to build these plants. So these plants are going to cost more than what they originally would have costed. So that's more money that these people are going to have to spend. These big companies. And then are they going to want to pay their workers living wages? Or are we going to still be stuck at the stupid $4.95 or whatever minimum wage is now? And when they say some things are their wages have gone up, some federal stuff. Well, those are federal jobs. Those aren't your state jobs. Those aren't your jobs, working at a food store or a clothing store. That's not your minimum wage. And are all these places going to be able to afford to pay higher prices because living expenses have gone up? Because everything's gone up. It's gone up for them too. So how are they going to be able to pay their workers? The workers are also, everything's gone up for them as well. So where is all this extra money coming from that's going to pay all this extra prices? That everything's going up, everything's going to cost more, but our living wage is still the same. Good morning, MOH. So Fairy's not here. She left just a little bit ago. She could be lurking, but I told her she better not type in chat if she's driving. Because we want her to be safe. Hell, people are saying now that businesses can't afford to raise their wages to pay their workers because everything's so expensive. And then they bitch about, because they're paying their workers more, that the price of something went up. So, again, the consumers are the ones that are paying for it. So all this extra money that people are going to need to buy things and whatnot, where the fuck is that coming from? Who's going to pay all these people to be able to afford all this stuff? Nobody's thinking about hardworking Americans. Bingo, MLH. The CEOs make way too much fucking money. But, again, if the CEOs, yes, they make too much money. But now the CEOs are supposedly the ones, and the stockholders are going to be the ones that are going to be deciding if they're going to bring their companies back here, their production back here, and build plants. So that's money coming out of their pocket to build the plant here. Who do you think's going to replace that money that's coming out of their pocket? None of them. We're going to be the ones. The consumers are going to be the ones that are going to have to replace all that money they lost. Because their hard day's work is figuring out how to make their pockets grow. Not how to make our pockets grow. Not how to save us money. How to make their bank accounts bigger. I don't know. I just think people don't look at the bigger picture of things and don't see how all of this is really hurting us. And them coming after Social Security is not just Social Security. It's Social Security disability too. So those of you out there on disability income, they're coming after you too. Don't think you're not safe. Hell, those are probably the ones he's coming after first. Oh, good morning, Shelley. And if you have a 401k in this country right now, and the stock market is the way that it is, you think your 401k is worth shit right now? It ain't. It ain't at all. And that's really what people play with, is the 401ks in this country. All that money in the stock market. You have people out there just deciding whether that's what will make you money, that won't make you money. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't want anybody in control of any of my money. I'll make the decisions, thank you. I'm going to fill my coffee. I'll be right back. Oh, thanks for stopping by, Shelley. Have a wonderful day. So, I got 10 more minutes. I have something I have to do today, so I'm not going to be live that long. But we talked about the building out of wood yesterday morning, so I wanted to bring it up again, because it's something that I think, ooh, you see the raven? Oh, cool. The raven's getting bred. I didn't know that. Well, that's cool. I love ravens. I think they're so pretty. And they're so big. You know, they mate for life. I don't see his partner out there. And they know the people that live in their areas. So, like, he knows me. They're smart, like blue jays. Blue jays, they know me too. They know the people that live in their areas. So, So if you're just joining us, if you could please hit the thumbs up. Go back if you want, watch, listen to me talk about building out of wood and how it's good for our environment. Mass timber. We want to start using mass timber to build things. And we don't want to cut the funding for the universities to do research on this. Because also by cutting the funding for these universities to do research, all those professors, they're going to lose their jobs. And especially so Michigan Tech, that's in a very small community. And Michigan Tech employs a lot of people in that area. They start losing funding, people are going to start losing jobs. That economy is going to go down. That is not good. That is not good for America. And we have a jackass in Congress as our representative. That if he cared about all these things, all his constituents, people that work in the Forest Service that are going to be losing their jobs, people at the universities that are going to be losing their jobs, the people that are employed by the Forest Service for seasonal jobs, they're not going to be able to be hired. People don't realize that. I think they don't understand how things work. So, well, it's almost that time. I need to start getting ready for my day. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. If you could please hit the thumbs up on your way out, that would be wonderful. And I'm going to wish everyone peace and love to all that matter. To the ones that don't matter to me, you know where I think you should go. But I'm sure there's somebody in your life that actually cares about you. So call them. And if they don't answer, there's a number you can call before you do something stupid. 988 if you're in the United States. There is somebody there that will talk to you. And if you live outside the United States, you can Google how to get help. And I'm sure there's a 3-digit or some kind of international number you can call to get mental help. Hey, good morning, Mama Red. How are you? Thanks for stopping by. I was just ending. And everyone be kind. It's free. It's a lot easier to be kind than it is to lie. When you lie, there are real people that will find the real truth. And you'll look dumb. And we'll all laugh at you. I'm good, thank you. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, everyone. And be kind. See y'all around. Oh, and don't forget Disaster Theater today, the season finale. See you all at the theater. Bye.